Tonight on 8 out of 10 Cats, Strictly Sensation, it's Revel Horwood. His eyes are smiling, it's David O'Doherty. And their team captain, John Locke. And facing them tonight, down with the kids, it's Rick Edwards. Show her the funny, it's Ellie Taylor. And their team captain, John Richardson. Now, welcome your host, Jimmy.
Welcome to 8 out of 10 Cats Uncut, a show about opinion polls, surveys and statistics. Did you know, for example, 14% of women say they can always tell when they're being lied to? And that's because all women are intelligent, perceptive, intuitive, and have you lost weight? The perfect slice of toast is 14 millimetres thick and weighs 0.44 grams per square inch. And that's according to a scientist who's apparently not aware there's still no cure for cancer. And only 3% of British women are naturally blonde. And that's a survey I conducted myself on the escalators at King's Cross. Right, let's get started. What are you talking about? That's the name of our first round. It's our panelist's job to guess the British public's top 5 most popular talking points. John's team, what do you think people have been talking about this week?
Jackson trial?
Oh, he's still dead, isn't he?
Still dead.
It's weird watching... You just watch it and you think, this can't be an actual trial because it's on telly. Like, if it was a trial, you keep expecting it to turn into a musical. Like, when he takes the stand, you go, do you swear to tell the whole truth? I'm sorry, Miss Jackson.
It does feel weird. You know, he's such a kind of... He's a weird character, the Doctor, isn't he?
One of the things that came out this week is he didn't know how long it had been since he stopped breathing because he didn't have a watch. Like, he's a doctor. Like, I'm becoming more and more convinced that he's Dr. Hibbert from The Simpsons. I think there'll be a bit this week when they question him and they go, were you there at the death? And he go, how do you not have a watch if you're a doctor?
The recording has come out now of Michael Jackson talking, but it doesn't really sound like him. It's out because he's not putting on a high-pitched voice. He's got a deep voice.
Have we got the recording?
Yeah, I'll just... John, help us out, do the recording.
Yeah.
Hello there, it's Michael Jackson here. I'm feeling queasy.
You have to ask the question, why would someone need to have such serious medication just to get to sleep? What was stopping them getting their sleepy buys? Why couldn't at night time they just go... Why, every night, they'd lie down and just go...
You realise, ironically, that face is going to keep quite a lot of people up now.
I mean, the amount of medication to get them out... I mean, it is horrendous.
It's almost as if he had a terrible past where he'd done awful things.
It's a very sad story. It's a very sad story. Luckily, it's quite funny as well. They've discovered that in the autopsy that Jackson had 8 different, chemicals in his body. I mean, 2 of those were artificial colouring.
I have some appreciation of what Michael Jackson was going through, though, because in the latter part of the last century, I played for a football team, and in order to play in this league, we had to have matching jerseys. So a guy was sent off to a market, and he brought us back 10 T-shirts with Michael Jackson bad written on them that we wore for the whole season. And we just became known as the pedos. The problem was the team adopted that. So you'd have someone like, we'd be 2-0 down, but come on, pedos, let's raise it for the last quarter.
Apparently, Michael Jackson was concerned he was going to get murdered as well. That's come out of the trial.
It doesn't look so mental now, does it?
Yeah. I thought he was going to get murdered for all his music rights, which suggests a gross misunderstanding of how music rights get passed along. It isn't a question of, well, I shot him. They're mine now.
It's weird. There's a lot of conspiracy theories around it. There's a lot of people thinking that, something untoward has happened because he was worth so much money and he was kind of worth more dead than alive.
Did you do it?
There does seem to be an acceptance that he was definitely murdered. LaToya Jackson put on Twitter, which I don't think you were allowed to do during a trial.
Oh, what?
That is what a lot of the kids call the Michael Jackson trial. My own ear when it happened to them.
She put on Twitter during the trial... Thank you. She put during the trial, I'm sick... Stupid letters of the alphabet. She put on Twitter during the trial, I'm sick of all these cover-ups and lies. But that's influencing the case, isn't it? You're implying he's definitely murdered. And if you're sick of cover-ups, you can't even look at his face.
My favourite album of his was always Twiller.
Let's have a look and see whether Michael Jackson's trial is one of the most talked about things this week. Yes, the trial of Michael Jackson's doctor continues. Everyone remembers where they were when Michael Jackson died. His doctor was in the bathroom flushing Demerol down the toilet. Sean Steam, what have the nation been talking about this week?
Well, knowing this nation that we live in, they'll be talking about the fact that it's been hotter than it's normally expected to be at this time of year. It's not meant to be hot at the end of September, the beginning of October.
But it has been.
But it has been, and it's literally made the tabloids blow a gasket. They go, blimey, it's so hot! What's going on? It's like Day of the Triffids or something's happening. It was very hot, though, wasn't it? I mean, there's no point beating about the bush. I was out there. You can't argue with anyone. They say it wasn't that hot. You go, bloody was. It was so hot, they were resuscitating the donkeys they'd shot at the end of the summer season. We shot them too early. We should have waited a couple of weeks. The old people, though, they suffer in the heat, don't they? They're the old people. But also, they suffer in the cold. They need to invent a jab for weather, don't they? They just inject them with some light drizzle. They're just right,
teetering.
somewhere in the middle. They're not suffering too much.
The tigers in the Isle of Wight Zoo, I was reading, they felt sorry for them, so they gave them ice creams. Because
I read this, yeah.
tigers wouldn't be used to warm weather at all. They're oh, this is so hot. Grr. Not like India, where I was snatched from as a child. They're probably, it was that they were freezing. They probably should have given them cuppa soups, and they're...
I always love it when it's really sunny like this, because nothing can seem to bring English people inside when it's sunny. Like last year, there was a sort of a same kind of thing, an unseasonably warm period of time, and loads of people went to my local park, and in the middle of the day, someone got shot. And so, like, the police came, the guy was airlifted to hospital, and it was all, like, cordoned off, and you'd think that would kind of end people's day. But no, loads of people stayed. It was like they'd weighed up the options of, like, well, there is a murderous gun-toting gang on the loose, but on the other hand, I don't know when these bad boy flip-flops are going to get another airing. I'll take the risk.
OK, let's have a look and see whether the unseasonable weather is one of the most talked about things this week. Of course it is, the most talked about thing. There was a heat wave in London, but I tell you where they enjoyed a real Indian summer, Delhi. On Sunday, it was as hot as hell. In fact, Margaret Thatcher woke up and thought she died. John, Rick, Ellen, what else have the nation been talking about?
Well, over here on Team Cool, I imagine we've all been glued to the Tory party conference.
Yeah.
Osborne solved the world financial meltdown. He said, these problems have been caused by humans, and they'll be fixed by humans, which is bullshit. It's a bit like being in a jungle going, well, this arm might have been bitten off by a tiger, and I fully expect a tiger to return and sew the wound up. Bit simple, George.
I liked Jeremy Hunt's speech, the culture secretary, and he had this beautiful ballet dancer come on stage and do this dance. And at the same time, unexpectedly, Eric Pickles began to join in. And he was doing this sort of strange thing with his legs and got in a bit sort of out of breath, but then it just turned out he was trying to get out of his chair.
Bless him.
Even his own party are going at him for being fat. You just want him to, because he looks so sad. You think, just have some, he needs some lines, like old stock lines, so when Osborne took the piss out of him, and gone, do you know why I'm so fat? Because every time you fuck the economy, I have a biscuit. Boom!
The most depressing moment in all of civilization is when politicians make jokes at those conferences, and then you see the goons all laughing like it's really funny. So it'd be like, he thinks he's going to get the country back to work. Well, I heard last week he couldn't even get his own car to work. They're like, Oscar Wilde is among us. This is brilliant.
The most out-of-touch comment I've heard of any politician this week was David Cameron said at one point, "I don't mean to, but I seem to be coming across one of these guys who's always down the boozer with the lads." Literally never thought that about you. Theresa May as well. She had this big speech about how this country's gone mad because there was an immigrant who couldn't get evicted from the country because he had a cat. And then everyone went, "That was bollocks, that." And she just read it in the Daily Mail. And she's just littered her speech with stuff she read in the Daily Mail. It won't be long before she's using agony aunt pages. Like, I met a constituent this week who wanted to have a threesome but didn't know how to ask his wife. I just think, start with a mutual friend. I've stuck an actual tip in there for you as well, lads.
It wasn't completely nonsense. Apparently the judge at the hearing said that the fact that they had a cat proved that they had some kind of family life, that they both invested in getting a cat together. It's just a fantastic excuse, isn't it? Like, I've got a cat. Nothing you can do about it. That's probably why there were so many Bond films, because they couldn't put Blofeld away.
Mr. Bond, Tiddles is hungry.
You were in the musical Cats, weren't you?
Yes, I was, indeed.
Is that why you've never been deported?
I always wanted to go to Cats, the musical, and just sit in the front row in a dog costume.
We have plenty of dogs on, you know, Strictly, so we're OK.
Saucer of milk, he hasn't lost it, has he? Rick, have you been watching the conference? Did you see any of it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to slightly defend Cameron. I think his cat joke was quite good.
Tell us his cat joke. We'll be
Just
the
going
judge
to read
of
it
this.
out. Here at this conference, we've been recording audiobooks for the blind, so he's a nice guy. I think after yesterday, we should probably have a group reading of Mog the Cat. Although if you, like me, read that book to your children at bedtime, you'll remember that Mog the Cat helps the police to catch the burglar, not keep him in the country. And that is it. That's the end of the joke.
Thing is, Rick, it's the way he tells them.
He's got a thing, hasn't he?
He'd have done it like this, but the cat wouldn't help catch the burglar. He'd kick them in the country. He'd do it like that.
And then the goons.
Cameron would have been better, I think, doing Mrs. Slocum pussy jokes.
I think he'd have upset the sisters, though, because he's already in trouble with them, isn't he? If he'd done pussy
Yeah, the
jokes.
Tory party is in trouble with the lady. They say they're not sort of appealing to female voters. I'll check in. Ellie, would you vote Tory?
I think David Cameron is probably getting a bit of a hard time about the whole sexist thing, because I think if you look at his relationship with his wife, it all seems kind of equal. Like, she came to the conference with him. She obviously had to leave 3 hours before it began because it was man's business. She couldn't understand it. But then she came back for his speech because she had to iron his shirt. But I think they've got a good relationship, I think.
Sorry, I wasn't really listening to her talking. Did you see any of the Tory conference? I imagine you were glued to it.
No, I would have liked to have seen the ballet dancers, though. I think that would have been rather nice.
I don't think you would have scored them very highly, I'll be honest with you.
I think it's good, because they're so boring normally. I think it's good that they tart up all these conferences with lots of wonderful music and, you know, entrance music and finale music.
I'm right with you, Craig, on that.
I think this is what the Tory party conference needs. It needs a little bit of razzle-dazzle.
I don't know if that's the tune, but...
It's close.
It's close enough. As soon as I start watching that programme, I spend the rest of the week going...
Try being on it, darling.
Oh, yeah, that's where I know you from. I knew you from somewhere. Let's have a look and see whether the Tory party conference is one of the most talked about things this week. Yes, the Conservatives held their annual conference in Manchester this week. The Tory conference is where the Conservatives discuss new, innovative and groundbreaking ways to fuck up Britain. Sean's team, what else do you think the nation have been talking about?
Well, what do you think they've been talking about, Craig?
Strictly.
Well, I mean,
An X Factor.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, the TV's... I mean, it's huge. 37 million viewers this weekend, those two shows combined. Everyone's watching it.
It is amazing, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, it's captured...
I'm in to see, you know, useless dancing.
Useless... Useless?
Useless dancing.
No, it's all pretty
Nancy.
bad.
I'm just mentioning names and I probably shouldn't do.
Nancy?
Nancy.
Don't call him that.
If you want to see more of her, you have to press the red button. Is it difficult being a judge?
It's extremely difficult.
Is it?
Yeah. It takes great intellect, darling.
Yes, that's what I imagine.
And plus, I've got a number of from 1 to 10 to choose from. It's making that choice.
And yeah, and then
There's
you've got to choose a number that people don't go, ooh. That must be a lot of pressure. That moment when you go, oh, got it wrong.
Are you a bit jealous of Lens 7? Because that has just gone nationwide, hasn't it, that? You must think, I'm going to pick a number. You could just have, like, another number and just go...
Have you been watching this, Annie?
Yeah. I'm more into X Factor, though, to be honest. Soz.
Into wannabes, darling, all those lovely wannabes.
As opposed to all the has-beens on your...
What I prefer Strictly to X Factor is there's less humiliation involved. You know, like, what's it called, I'm a Celebrity? They have to have the Bush Tucker trial. They have to eat some disgusting things. I mean, if you have a testicle in your mouth on Strictly, it's optional, isn't it?
It generally means that dance move's gone horribly wrong.
Yeah.
Strictly's got a lot of people into dancing. A lot of people kind of now dance around their living rooms while they watch it. Have a look at this. How would you score that dance?
1, darling. 1 out of 10. Spatial awareness, you see.
There's an element of trimming the herd there. If you've got one thing in your living room and you headbutt it, you deserve to be in pain.
What I find weird about that clip, why the mask? Does that tell you you've been looted?
Let's have a look and see if Strictly's up there. Yes, 37 million viewers tuned in to watch Strictly and X Factor over the weekend. BBC bosses have ordered Strictly's dancers to tone down their raunchy routines because no one wants to see Edwina Curry's cha-cha-cha. OK, fingers on buzzers, one more thing to get. What else have the nation been talking about this week?
The rugby has been on.
Yes.
Maybe people have been talking about my country doing very well and your country just touching up the ladies. Honky, 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 honky. Oh, we've won. You're like this honky, 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 honky.
Have you ever had anything to do with a lady?
Hey, what's that bit?
No, but I'm ready when it happens.
The weirdest detail that's come out of it was that they were assigned their own special 5-foot chambermaid. And this detail's really been hammered home in the press. It's go, they had their own 5-foot chambermaid. The chambermaid who was 5 foot.
5'1", I think you'll find.
Really? I feel so stupid now.
Didn't they ask her to do something Australian to them?
Yeah.
I've got the quote here. Haskell shouted at her, I want an Aussie kiss. She said, what's that? And he said, it's a blowjob down under.
But it doesn't make sense, because a kiss down under would be a blowjob, but a blowjob down under would be like sucking your ankle. It's so sleazy, though, with the lines, and they stole her walkie-talkie, and then she came up to get it. They're like, why don't you look for it in the bedroom? And they all had towels on, and they were... It just makes you respect footballers. So, like, at least with Wayne Rooney, it's all business. So I'll give you 300 quid to touch me dick. There's no wordplay, there's no jokes, there's just touch that, that's the money. There we go.
They are quite wild, though, rugby players. They have been on Strictly Come Dancing. We've had, you know, people like Matt Dawson, Kenny Logan, of course, and on tour, he was outrageous.
Was he?
Yeah.
Tell me everything. What happened on tour?
Well, he was literally pulling our heads back like this, and we had to consume an enormous amount of vodka.
Oh, vodka.
And yes, vodka. In fact,
I thought a tea bag was going to be involved.
I was drinking vodka out of one lady's breasts.
Out of it?
Yeah, well, she pushed them together like this, and then the vodka was poured into them and held in them. And
Did they not have a clean glass?
It was just one of those nights. Actually, what goes on tour should stay there, really, shouldn't it? I should never mention.
Remind me never to let you drink vodka off my tits. It'll be all over the place.
You guys probably don't realise that things happen on rugby tours. On the under-11s tour to Wales that I was involved in, the priest who was our coach specifically told us, don't put any money in slot machines. So what's that? Red rag to a bull. The D-man, what's that a rule? Kablamo. And I put 50p into a slot machine and I won the jackpot of 45 quid, which came out in 10p's. And because I wasn't allowed to tell anyone that I'd won it, I then had like this bag with my boots in it and rugby gear, and then like 3 stone of coins that I just had to walk around with the rest of it. So, you know, these things happen, and life's a party, huh?
Yeah.
OK, let's have a look and see whether the England rugby team's antics are one of the most talked about things this week. So those were the most talked about stories this week. But in other news, a small plane crashed into a Ferris wheel in Australia, trapping 4 people for 3 hours. And to make things worse, the louder they screamed, the faster it went. And Katie Price has split up with her Argentinian boyfriend. There was a language barrier, but after 7 months, he picked up just enough English to realise she's a fucking nightmare. So at the end of that round, Sean, David and Craig have 3 points. John, Ellie and Rick have 2 points. Our next round is Pick of the Polls. John, Ellie and Rick, pick a question.
Well, it looks like you've snuck into my bathroom and got a picture of me in front of the mirror again.
Is that you with the spoon?
Big man with the biceps.
OK, 55% of men think the most macho profession is what?
Probably being on a panel on a show, innit?
Have you had a proper macho job?
I was a chef. Is that manly?
A chef is quite manly these days because of people like Gordon Ramsay.
I was very much the precursor to Gordon Ramsay. Sort of a northern... like with a pinch of George Formby. Still elevated. That pissing fish. When I'm cleaning saucepans.
I look at those guys, you know, in really serious psychiatric wards. You know, the really serious, like Rampton, those guys. That's a tough job. Dealing with the real psycho killers and just taking them like some trifle. Thinking, I hope they like it. Because they could take my eyes out if they don't. That's a tough job.
Yeah. Craig, what do you think the most macho job is? What's the most macho
any
job
of the
you've ever
village
had?
people. Builders, mechanics, policemen, you know.
Are we saying the most macho job or just what you like?
I'm just demonstrating a macho sort of environment and job.
Macho. I like the way you said macho.
I like the way you use your shoulders.
I don't take much encouragement, I think...
I know.
Macho. What's the most macho job?
I reckon it. You know, I think's a real macho job.
Go on.
Is in the delicatessens, the people who put the ham on the meat slicer. Because that thing's really sharp.
Oh, yeah.
Quite dangerous. They go, "Argh," like that. And it's sort of risky. They're risking their life. But also, they're producing ham. So it's dangerous and exciting, but also you get a lovely ham as well.
I think that's why they get all the poontang. Yeah, I think that's...
I think the most macho job is shark dentist. I'm flossing the shark.
I want to see how long does this mime go on? And rinse. Nice piece of shark dentistry. OK, so most macho profession, what do you think, Rick? You used to be a male model. That's pretty macho.
Well, I mean, I'd say no.
What's the weirdest thing you had to dress up as, being a male model? You were kind of a fashion model.
It's not really something I had to dress up as. I had to model crotch-enhancing jeans.
And may I say, I'm glad you kept it.
And they didn't have them on the shoot, so in the end I wore my jeans, and then a gentleman stuffed a sock that he sort of moulded into a large kind of sausage that snaked down my leg. And then my mum and dad saw it in a magazine.
What were they doing reading that kind of magazine?
I was a mobile floor cleaner in a German sausage cannery.
Show off.
It's genuinely true. And
Sorry, give us that again. You were a...
mobile floor cleaner in a German sausage cannery. The jars would come along the conveyor belt, but sometimes on the corners they'd fall off and smash. And Herr Willy was the foreman, and he had a yellow whistle, and he'd blow the whistle. And I had a hard hat and a red buggy with a suction pump, and I'd have to drive to the site of the sausage catastrophe, and then reverse backwards and forwards over the sausages till I'd suck them all up into my undercarriage, and then return back to base again. Honk, honk.
Is this a job you had or a game on the iPhone? It sounds like the new Angry Birds.
It's got to be like in the armed services. Is it like soldier or something?
Absolutely right. Right answer. Yes, 55% of men think the most macho profession is being in the army. If hundreds of muscular men parading up and down with cropped hair in matching outfits isn't masculine, I don't know what is. So at the end of that round, it's 3 points for Sean's team and 3 points for John's team. And the winner is the name of our final round. Here's your first one. Worst thing about going to a pop concert?
The music?
No, the worst thing for me about pop concerts is the miming.
Yeah, because you want to see a show. You don't want to see people going... Get on with it! Bloody sing!
Have you been to any pop concerts, Craig?
I have. I went to Whitney Houston's pop concert.
Not the recent one.
No, darling, the one that was in Africa, her first visit there, and there was a disaster. Because she'd lost her voice.
She'd lost her voice?
Yeah.
What, was it British Airways flying her over there with her?
My friend invited me to a gig at Wembley. I said, yeah, all right, it sounds a bit like it'd be loud and there'll be a lot of people there. But I'll go with it. And he said, there's a slight chance you'll get hit with a pint of piss. And I said, I'm not going. And
what was the gig?
It was Oasis. And he said, sometimes, because it's a lot of people there, so you wee into a glass. Already I'm losing it. But then instead of popping it neatly by the side, he said they have a wee and then they just, boom. Sometimes you get hit with a pint of piss, but it's very unlikely. I need it to be 0 chance of getting hit. And then people start singing. I don't want you to do it, dickhead. I paid 60 quid to come to your house, did I, and hear you sing Michael Bolton, but shitter. I just get terrified of losing my friends. It's so big, the gigs, you know. I'm going to get back out there. I'm never going to find him. And then I wouldn't have come on my own, but now I'm on my... Proclaimers were good. I enjoyed the Proclaimers. They did an indoor venue with seats, so there's no standing up, but they did new stuff. I've come to watch the Proclaimers to see your new shit, have I, lads? Do the two.
Someone needs to have a word with pop bands about the new stuff.
That is the worst thing when they say, and here's one of our new songs. You can hear the whole room go,
I hate going to pop concerts because of the toilet situation for the women, because I'm not a big advocate of pissing in cups. So I have to queue for the loos, and I used to, sort of push in and say, like, oh, I'm pregnant. But I don't want to push in anymore, because I heard a story about a girl who pushed in and got into a portaloo, and then the crowd kind of turned feral, and they pushed the portaloo over with her in it. And I don't know if that's an urban legend, but I don't want to risk it.
That makes me proud to be British. You know the Tory party conference when they talk about the British spirit and what it is to be British and coming together as a community? That is the example they should have used. She pushed in the queue, did she? Well, she could be covered in poo. Good on them.
I think what I always find weird at when you go to see a band these days is they have that gap, don't they, between the stage and the audience. And they have those stewards there, these massive, great big blokes in polo shirts, and they're not seeing the band. They're staring at the audience. And the idea of trying to have a good time with this 18-stone Glaswegian just staring at me. And he's obviously got a court appearance on Monday. If you're trying to have fun, if you're in your living room trying to have fun and there's just a big bloke staring at you going, "You having fun, are you, son?" They're always from Glasgow, aren't they, those fellas?
Yeah, and they're always lifting people out as well. I always think that's... Is there someone in from Glasgow now? Hello? OK, well, there's an AA meeting just up the road. Anything else is the worst thing about going to a pop concert?
The crowds, darling, the crowds.
It's to do with the crowds.
When
It's a very
there's
specific thing about...
When there's a very tall person standing in front of you.
That is exactly the right answer. So do we rather. Yes, the worst thing about going to a pop concert is standing behind a tall person, especially if you've gone to see Jedward, because if you're standing behind someone really tall, they could block your shot, and you have to kill them both. All right, so next one. Top thing travellers miss when abroad.
Is it all the dead celebrities? Well, you go away and you don't know who's died. And 2 years later, you're in the pub having a chat, and you go, "Yeah, anyway, so-and-so. They go, "Who's dead?" And you go, "When?" Turns out, when you were on holiday.
It's sneaky,
Oh,
isn't it? Yeah.
that annoys the shit out of me.
You're from Australia, aren't you? Technically, you're abroad now.
Well, I've been living here for 22 years, so...
Yeah.
And I have become a British citizen.
Well, I need to see your papers, and we can move on.
Papers! Where are your papers? Glenn Goodman, I bet he's not much to your papers, doesn't he? He's still in the Home Guard. I imagine in between takes he shows you his ration book. Oh, there you go. I'll get you sugar, nylons, anything you want.
What do you miss when you go away, Anna?
I think I misunderstood the question because I was thinking of travellers. I was going to say caravans and evading planning commission.
The top thing they miss isn't Dale Farm.
No.
You probably miss the imperial measurement system. You're probably flummoxed by where's the nearest village? 17 3/4 fathoms. We have kilometres and it's really easy.
Yeah, you've also got euros. Good luck with that. Just saying.
It's worse than recession. I've lived through several recessi, and this is worse than those. Thanks for bringing it up.
Is this the worst one, you think?
I don't know. I'm sure it was worse during the potato famine. But in my lifetime, it's not great.
I don't know what the modern equivalent would be of a potato famine in Ireland. It would be if Abracababra shut down.
It is a kebab joint where I was in it recently, and a homeless man was thrown out, and he just stuck his head. It's sort of a spinning mystery meat type establishment, and the homeless man a minute later just stuck his head around the door and went and then just landed this perfect gob onto the thing as it spun. And the guy walks over with the big knife. He's like, "Oh God," and he just picks the sort of spot, like the 2-inch spot where it landed. Like, there we go. Now, what would everyone like? Taking care.
It's about the comfort of home.
Your own bed?
That's the right answer. Yes, the top thing travellers miss when abroad is their own bed. I hate the way hotel beds can magically turn what was clearly a beautiful, exotic woman the night before into an unshaven Oriental man in the morning. Well, that sound tells me it's the end of the round and the end of the show, which means the final scores are 4 points for Sean's team and 4 points for John's team. Everyone's a winner. Thanks to all our panellists, our wonderful studio audience, and to all of you for watching at home. That's it for us. Good night.